you dare enter, a place forgotten by time, where shadows breathe, and the dead still remember. Sit, watch, and do not look away.
It happened in Montana, late October 1997. The kind of cold that made your bones ache before the wind even touched you. I was 16, staying with my Uncle Rick for a few months while my mom got her life together. His place was 5 miles from the nearest neighbor, deep in the woods near Flathead National Forest. No internet, no TV, just a rusted truck, 2 hunting rifles, and a generator that worked when it wanted to. Rick was a quiet man. Didn't ask questions, didn't talk much. Just worked, drank, and stared at the woods like he was waiting for something to come back. I never asked what. The first time I heard it was 3 nights in. It was almost 2 a.m. I'd snuck out onto the back porch to smoke one of Rick's cigarettes. The forest was dead quiet. No crickets, no wind, just stillness. And then a howl. Not a coyote, not a wolf. I'd heard both before. This was deeper, angrier, like something old was screaming into the trees just to remind them it still existed. I dropped the cigarette and ran back inside. Rick was already awake, sitting at the table, a shotgun across his lap. "You heard it," he said without looking at me. "What the hell was that?" He didn't answer, just stood up, grabbed a box of shells, and headed for the door. "You're not going out there, right?" He looked back. "If it comes close, I will." Then he stepped outside. That was the first time I saw real fear on a grown man's face. Not panic. Resentment. Like he knew the thing out there wasn't finished with him. Rick came back inside an hour later. Said nothing. Just put the shotgun by the door, poured a drink, and stared out the window like the trees owed him an explanation. I couldn't sleep after that. Over the next few nights, it got worse. The howl came closer. Then there were footprints in the mud, too big for a man, too wide for a wolf. Plowed, deep, like whatever made them was heavy and angry. Rick boarded the windows, nailed 2x4s across the doors. "Just in case," he muttered. I asked what it was. He didn't answer. Instead, he told me a story. "When I was your age," he said, "we had a boy go missing. Bobby Mears disappeared out by Mill Creek. They found his boots, some blood, that was it." "Wolves?" Rick shook his head. "No, we hunted wolves after that, didn't find one, but we found something else." He didn't say what. Just poured another drink and went outside. That night, the generator cut out around midnight. I lit candles, tried not to look at the windows, tried not to listen. But the knock came anyway. Not on the door. On the wall. Like claws dragging slowly down the siding. I held my breath. Then came the whisper. Not words, just breath. Hot. Heavy. Too close. I ran upstairs, locked the bedroom door, and curled up under a blanket like I was 6 years old again. Then I heard it on the roof. Whatever it wasn't scared of us. It was playing. In the morning, Rick was gone. No note, no tracks. Just the shotgun, missing. And something else left behind. On the porch, where the boards had started to rot from the coal, there was a mark. Not carved. Burned. A spiral. Perfect. Black. Still smoking. I didn't know what it meant. Not then. I tried the truck. Dead. Tried the road. Gone. Washed out by the rain, or maybe something else. The trees had shifted. I swear they weren't where they were the day before. Everything was wrong. Like the forest was breathing differently. I stayed inside that night. Didn't light candles. Didn't move. Just waited. At 2:13 a.m., the knock came. Not from the walls. From the basement. I didn't even know there was a basement. It was behind the pantry. A door I hadn't noticed before. Old. Bolted. Now it was open. The smell hit first. Wet. Copper. Rot. And from the dark below, something whispered. Don't close the light. The air turned thick, like it had a voice of its own. My ears rang. My chest tightened. And in the stairwell, I saw a shape. Long. Bent. It crawled, not walked. Its hands were too large. Its mouth too wide. And in that mouth, something was grinning. Not it. Something inside it. It didn't scream. It didn't lunge. It whispered. My name. Then Rick's. Then my mother's. And I knew, whatever it wasn't just hunting. It remembered. It was made of memory. And now that I had seen it, I wouldn't forget. I slammed the pantry shut. Bolted it. Moved the fridge in front of the door, like that would stop anything that could speak my name from the dark. But silence didn't return. The knocking continued. Not from the basement now. From every wall. Every cupboard. Inside the oven. Under the bed. 3 knocks. Always 3. Like it was searching. Tapping. Testing. Waiting for a place thin enough to step through. I held the lantern like it was sacred. Didn't sleep. Didn't breathe. Just waited. Then something changed. The knocks stopped. All of them. And the house exhaled as if it had made a decision. The front door creaked open on its own. Not fast. Not violent. Just polite. Inviting. Outside, the world had shifted again. The forest leaned closer. The road was gone. But in the clearing, there were lights. Lanterns. Dozens of them. Hanging from branches. From bones. From skin. They swayed in perfect unison. And beneath them, people. Not alive. But not entirely dead either. Their heads were tilted, eyes hollow, and every single one of them had my face. Twisted, grinning, staring at the house. And when I looked into the window beside the door, I saw the reflection again. But this time, it wasn't me. It was what I could become. If I stepped outside, if I answered the knock, if I stayed. I didn't. I backed away from the open door. I took the hammer and the lantern. I opened the attic hatch, climbed up, sealed it behind me, and I waited. The lantern burned low. The cold crept in, but the knocking didn't follow. Not up here. Not yet. Because this place, it remembers rules. And one of them is this: it can't enter unless you let it. So now I sit, and I write, and I listen to the house breathe, because somewhere below me, the knock is coming again. And it's almost midnight. And I don't know how many more times I can say no. The attic was dark. Too dark. Even with the lantern burning low, the shadows here felt thicker. They clung to the insulation. They curled in the corners like sleeping animals waiting to wake. I sat with my back against a beam, knees to my chest, lantern between my feet, hammer on my lap. Waiting. Listening. Every so often, a creak below. Sometimes the stairs. Sometimes the floorboards. Sometimes right beneath me, like something was crawling across the ceiling underneath the attic. Which made no sense. Unless the house had more rooms than it should. Unless it had grown new ones. Or remembered old ones. I glanced around the attic. Old boxes. Blankets. A rocking horse missing one eye. Christmas lights wrapped in a tangled mess like a web. The remnants of other lives. And then, behind a stack of yellowed books, I saw a door. Small. Square. Too low to stand in. One I knew wasn't there before. It had a handle. And a lock. And something carved into the wood. Whichever one opens IT, stays. I stared at it for a long time. Didn't move. Didn't blink. The knocking hadn't returned, but this was worse. This was an invitation with a catch. I reached out. Not to open, to feel the wood. It pulsed. Once. Like a heartbeat. Like a waiting breath. I yanked my hand back. No, I whispered. But something inside the door whispered back. You already did. Below me, the house moaned. Like wood and wind and something older than sound. The lantern guttered again. The attic felt colder. The air heavier. And somewhere, just below the floor, I heard them. Footsteps. Not one person. Many. Soft. Wet. Bare. They circled beneath me like wolves pacing a trap. And from behind the tiny attic door, something knocked. 3 times. Knock. 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 Then, the handle turned. Slow. Deliberate. But the door didn't open. It just creaked inward a fraction of an inch. Enough to release a smell, something old, not rot, not dust. Memory. The scent of my childhood bedroom. My grandmother's closet. Wet leaves in autumn. Burnt plastic. Blood on metal. It didn't make sense. Smells never do when they're not supposed to exist. I stood up. The lantern in my hand sputtered. And I realized something. The house wasn't trying to hurt me. It was trying to wear me. One detail at a time. My voice. My fear. My memories. Every knock was a stitch. Every whisper, a thread. And if I opened that attic door even a little further, even by mistake, I wouldn't be the one who walked away. I backed up. 1 step. 2. The door didn't move. But something behind it did. I heard it slide across the floor. Something heavy. Something breathing. And then the voice. Not a whisper this time. Not a plea. A statement. From behind the door. From inside my own throat. We don't knock anymore. The lantern went out. Pitch black. I didn't run. I couldn't. My feet were frozen. The attic pulsed around me like a lung about to exhale. Then, from every wall, hands. They didn't grab. They didn't strike. They just reached. Dozens of them. Some small, some long, some made of wood, some made of light. Each one trembling, each one pointing. Not at me. At the tiny door. And then I understood. The knocking hadn't stopped. The whole house had gone quiet not because it was empty, but because it was listening. Waiting for me to make the next move. To reach for the handle. To say yes. I stepped forward once. Reached out. Not to open it. To close it. The door creaked as I pushed it shut. The breathing behind it stopped. The hands sank back into the walls. The air thinned. And just before the lantern sparked back to life, I heard it. One more voice. From deep below the attic. Somewhere in the bones of the house. Too late. The next morning, the light didn't come. I waited. Sat by the boarded-up window with the lantern in my lap. But the sky stayed black. Cloudy, empty. Like the sun had been turned off, and the world had forgotten how to spin. Jacob didn't wake. He wasn't dead. But something in him was gone. He sat in the corner, whispering to himself in a voice that wasn't his. Low. Rhythmic. Like the knocking. I asked questions. He didn't respond, just kept whispering. Again and again. We knocked first. You left the light on. We knocked first. His eyes were open, but they weren't seeing me. Just the wall. Just the memory. I tried shaking him. Slapping him. Nothing worked. And then I heard it. Behind the wallpaper. Knock. 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 I tore back with trembling hands. There, carved into the wood beneath, deep, angry scratches. A symbol. A circle of eyes. Spiraling inward. No words. Just that shape. It pulsed when I looked at it. Not physically. Somewhere in my head. Like it remembered me. I staggered back. Jacob was standing now. Still whispering. Still pointing. At the symbol. His voice had changed, higher now. Childlike. Echoing with something older. I grabbed the lantern. Lit it. Flames surged high for a moment, then calmed. Jacob recoiled, as if the light burned him. And then, for the first time in hours, he blinked. His lips stopped moving. His hands dropped to his sides. And he whispered, "Don't let them in." I nodded. Swallowed my fear. And told him what we had to do. We weren't getting out through the front door. We weren't getting out through the tunnel. But there was one way left. The attic. The door was still shut. Still waiting. And if it wanted us, then we'd make it show itself. Not by running. By dragging it into the light. We climbed the stairs together, one step at a time, every board groaning like it remembered our weight. The attic door looked the same. Closed. Harmless. I raised the lantern. Jacob held the knife. I reached for the handle. The moment my fingers touched it, the door swung open on its own. No darkness. No mist. Just stairs. Leading up. Too many stairs. Spiraling into a place that shouldn't exist. And at the top, a room. Not wood. Not stone. Just mirrors. Thousands of them. Some cracked. Some shattered. Some still showing me, but not as I was now, as I used to be. And one mirror, far across the room, still glowing. Still on. Like someone had left it. Just for us. We stepped into the mirror room. It didn't feel real. The floor beneath us reflected every movement, but didn't echo them. Our steps made no sound, no weight, like we were walking on water that remembered being solid. The mirrors lined every surface. Ceiling, walls, Even the air shimmered, like reflections floated where glass should have been. Each mirror showed a version of us. Some older, some younger, some... Ron! Jacob pointed to one on the left. It showed him with no mouth, eyes wide, pleading silently from the other side. Another showed me sitting in the chair from the basement, motionless, blank-eyed, while something with my body stood over me, smiling. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. Each mirror pulled something out of me. A regret, a memory, a scream I hadn't let out. Jacob stumbled, clutched his head. "They're in here," he said. "Every time we lied, every time we ran." I pulled him back. "You're not staying." He looked up, eyes clearer now, but scared. "Then neither are you." We moved forward, toward the glowing mirror at the end of the corridor. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Its surface shimmered, not glass, not water, something in between. A screen. A portal. A trap. Inside, I saw us. Standing in the cabin. Normal. Smiling. Like nothing had happened. Like this whole nightmare had been a dream we'd left behind. Jacob stepped forward. The mirror brightened. The reflection waved. "Don't," I said. Too late. Jacob reached out. His fingers touched the surface and vanished. No sound. Just gone. I grabbed his wrist, yanked him back. The mirror flickered. Then cracked. A single web of black lines spreading from where he'd touched it. And the figures inside? They changed. No longer smiling. No longer us. Just watching. Dozens of figures pressed against the other side. All with our faces. All silent. Except for one. The little girl. She stepped forward, lifted her hand, and placed it gently on the glass. The mirror flashed white, and behind us, every other mirror shattered. All at once, a sound like bones splintering in fire. Glass rained down. We dropped to the floor. The lantern flared and died. And in the dark, they came through. They didn't run. They didn't crawl. They drifted. Dozens of them, figures with our faces, our gestures, our old clothes, our broken eyes, emerging from the shattered mirrors like smoke that had learned how to imitate. One of them floated inches above the floor. Her legs didn't move. Her arms were stretched forward, twitching like she was reaching for something she couldn't name. Another grinned with no lips. Just teeth. So many teeth. Jacob scrambled up, dragging me to my feet. The hallway, behind us. But the door was gone again. No more exit. Just mirrors cracking wider. Reflections peeling away from their surfaces like skin from wet glass. The girl stepped through last. The same girl. Black dress. No eyes. But she looked at us. Right at us. And whispered. "You left the light on." The voice echoed inside me. Familiar. Personal. Mine. My legs buckled. I hit the floor hard. Jacob grabbed the hammer, swung at the nearest figure. It shattered into smoke, but not before it whispered something in his ear that made him scream and fall to his knees. The smoke reformed. New faces. More versions. I crawled backward toward the only thing left glowing. The cracked mirror. Still pulsing. Still alive. I didn't want to touch it. But I did. Because deep down, I remembered. This wasn't a trap. It was a choice. A door. And someone had to close it. Jacob was still fighting. Bleeding now. Crying out my name. But I looked at the girl, and she nodded. The others froze. Just for a second. And I knew this wasn't about escape. It never was. It was about balance. I turned to Jacob, hand on the glass. "I'll hold it open," I said. "You have to go." He shouted something I didn't catch. But he saw my eyes. He knew I meant it. He ran for the mirror. And as he dove through, I let go. The room collapsed. Not like falling. Like forgetting. The mirrors turned black. The figures dissolved. The light died. And I stayed. It's quiet now. Not the kind of quiet you hear after a storm. The kind that follows after everything else has left. I don't know how long I've been here. There's no time. No light. Just the pulsing memory of the house. I don't need food. Or water. Or sleep. Just a stillness. Sometimes I hear them. Not outside. Inside. The voices I tried to forget. People I let down. Places I abandoned. Moments I pretended didn't matter. They all live here now. And sometimes they knock. Just once. Just to remind me. I stayed. Because someone had to. Because someone had left the light on. And now, it's mine to keep. Jacob made it out. I know he did. Because sometimes when the dark gets thin, like paper soaked in oil, I see flashes. A fire. A road. His hands, still shaking, still alive. He forgets me more each day. But that's okay. That's how it works. He'll tell the story. People will listen. They'll think it's fiction. A ghost tale. A campfire trick. They won't understand. Not really. Not until they hear it too. The knock. 3 times. Soft. Measured. from the hallway, from the mirror, from behind their thoughts. And then they'll remember me, or what I became. Because when you leave the light on, something always finds its way home.
The tale is over, but the darkness remains. Subscribe, or stay forever in the silence between screams.